Well, how about that? What a win by Minnesota to start the road trip. They win 3-1 over the Carolina Hurricanes, the top team in the Metro, unlike the Penguins. I mean, the Penguins are still good. They still have those 4 players, but this was a game that I honestly thought was going to be tough. It was going to be tough. It was going to be physical. And it wasn't going to be like a playoff style atmosphere. It was going to be like a tough, grinding, defensive-minded style atmosphere. Because that's what both these coaches are. Rob Brindamore and Dean Evason basically look and act the same way. I mean, you look at them, they're both kind of grumpy old men. It's the way it is. But both teams played a really tight, tough defensive game. The difference was the Wild just made the most of the chances they had. And they didn't have a lot. They only had 19 shots in the entire game, just 19. But you'd average about 30 to get not even 20 is absurd. And the fact you won, that's even crazier. How many shots did Carolina have, though? They had 38. They had 38 shots on net, and 37 of them didn't go in. Why? Well, Marc-Andre Fleury. God bless Bill Guerin for giving us this gift of a goaltender that we didn't desperately need it, but it definitely helps. It makes everybody feel comfortable, makes everybody feel happier, especially for Fleury. Look at him. He's back to playing the way he used to play. That Vezina caliber goaltender with a good defense in front of him. And it's not like Fleury was completely alone out here. There were some good defensive plays all around, from Dmitry Kulikov to Jonas Brodin to Foligno had some nice plays. Like, literally, great stick play, good defensive plays. Middleton, that's another guy. Jake Middleton was also a big factor in helping out Marc-Andre Fleury. When your defense and your goaltender work in cohesion like that, it is so good. Because it puts none of the pressure really on the defense. Because Carolina was putting a lot of pressure on. But I never really felt like that pressure would break. Even when Carolina was starting to ramp it up slowly and slowly, I never really seemed worried at all in this game. It seemed like they had it under control. So let's go take a look at the notes and let's just see how this game broke down. So a lot of notes in the beginning. We start out with Matt Boldy and Sean Merrill are both out for this game. Merrill didn't even make the road trip at all, so he's not going to be gone. Boldy did travel with the team. He's not playing tonight, and he probably won't play tomorrow night against the Capitals. So because of that, that means Nick Bukestad and Alex Goligoski are not scratched anymore, and they're back in the lineup. Also, to move around, they put Tyson Jost on the same line as Goudreau and Fiala. Smart move, because he's a skilled player. This also moved Fiala to the right wing, since Jost played left wing when he was at his best in Colorado. So, a little bit of shifting, a little bit of ins and outs there. In net tonight, it was Marc-Andre Fleury versus Freddie Anderson, the guy who is also single-handedly backstopped Carolina into the first spot in the Metro. Not single-handedly. This team is stacked. This team is a dark horse Stanley Cup contender. They're like the Wild, essentially. They're like a hipster pick to possibly win it all. And going into this game, Kaprizov, he only needed 1 point to officially break the franchise record. He was tied at 83 points with Marian Gaborik. All he needed was just 1 point, and he got that pretty damn quickly. Well, halfway into the first quickly. Because it was 1-0 with a power play goal from Matt Zuccarello, his 20th of the season, assisted by Kaprizov, his 46th of the season, and Spurgeon got another assist, his 25th of the season. Basically, shot from Spurgeon, gets deflected off of Freddie's pad, bounces over to Kaprizov. Kaprizov, instead of shooting, dishes it back up to the point where Zuccarello's there. Zuccarello just fires it, and it gets through traffic and into the back of the net. 1-0, Kaprizov has the record, all smiles on the bench, and everything is just looking good. And that was at 9:40 into this game. So he obviously, started out pretty strong for Kaprizov. And both teams wanted to play that same way, that same defensive style, grinding, not playoff style, not like up and at 'em like craziness, but like a defensive style, methodical approach to try and score. Because Carolina, apparently, they had, there was one stat in here they had where they were the best puck possession team in the league. And right here, Carolina, by far the best puck possession team in the league. And Minnesota, according to the stat they had from Bally Sports North, is 23rd in that stat. I should have taken a picture of it, but it was like Carolina was miles ahead of everybody as far as puck possession goes. They are a very good team and did very difficult to knock off the puck. So Minnesota had to do that in order to actually get out on top. Of course, former Wild players in this game, Nino Niederreiter. Why did we trade him? Because he was buzzing around the net like he always does. I still don't know why we traded him for Victor Rask, who is now with Seattle. So who won that trade, huh? Way to go, Paul Fenton. And Ian Cole, which a lot of Wild fans don't, well, they kind of remember, because he was here last year during the Vegas series. He was one of our better defensemen that we had. And we weren't able to keep him because, well, he had a pretty big contract, and we kind of just said, all right, we'll let you walk. We're changing the guard here. Do what you want. So he comes to Carolina, and he's still a good defenseman for them there. And something else that really kind of threw me off was Ben Clymer talking with Audra Martin in the beginning, like the pregame show. He stated something that Carolina is not a historically loud building to play in, which is absurd to think of. Did he not see the 2019 playoffs, the 2021 playoffs, where when they finally let fans back into the building, Carolina was the first team to have everybody just going nuts. It was a return to playoff hockey because Carolina fans showed up, and they were still loud in this game. This building is one of the toughest to play in PNC Arena. It is incredibly tough because even when the Wild were still up by like 3 goals, at one point it was 3-0, even then, and it was getting later in the third, there were still Canes fans shouting at the top of their lungs going, let's go Canes, let's go, like literally the whole game. It's weird to say, but it's almost as if the crowd didn't have a factor, but they still kept shouting. They are incredible fans that definitely care about hockey and deserve the stadium series that they're going to get next year in NC State's football stadium. That's what they're getting next year, and I think they're playing. It's not the Lightning they're playing, is it? I don't know who they're playing, but they do get it, and I can't wait to see that. We also had Lou Nanny in the booth with Anthony LaPanta, because usually they keep rotating in 3 or 4 different analysts. Last game it was Wes Walls. A few weeks ago they had Ryan Carter. It's been a while since we've seen Gigi Marvin. Not sure what she's doing. But then there's Lou Nan, who comes on like every once in a while. He just randomly shows up. But he showed up here, and it was fun to hear his voice back in the building. And yeah, it was good to hear. I'm glad that Lou Nan is not dead, because for some reason I thought he was. He's not. Thank God. Okay? A lot of Wild fans also showed up for this game, because during those points when the Canes fans were chanting, there were also what I could tell, let's go Wild chants, because I could hear the beats in the background. Because the Canes don't have that. They have ba 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 ba, let's go Canes, let's go Wild. You hear the difference? So when I heard that, I knew the Wild fan. This is like when we were up 2-0, 3-0. It was getting later in the game. Wild fans are basically like, yeah, this one's starting to roll in our favor. So again, it stayed as a very tight, grinding game where chances, like quality chances, were very hard to come by because neither team could really generate anything in the first period until Minnesota got a power play. And the special teams in this game was incredible. Penalty kill was perfect, and the power play managed to get this one. They've scored 5 goals in their last 6 games. That is how good our power play has been as of late, and you need that to be good in the playoffs. You also need the penalty kill to be good, and this one was incredible because Carolina just couldn't get anything going on their power plays whatsoever. Like literally, it's the best special teams play we've had all year, in my opinion. I don't think we've had another game where it's been that good, where being down a man didn't really do much. And they called this game significantly looser than they did in the Pittsburgh one. There were a few calls early on, but most of the time it was 5-on-5 play. And that's why Minnesota kind of excelled. We're damn good at 5-on-5. And so we were rolling with everybody. As the first period continued to wind down again, a lot of good puck movement for Minnesota when they had the power play. They were only able to score 1 goal in the power play, though. So there was that. But, yeah, this game was very even. It was a very evenly matched game. And both Carolina and Minnesota, they both had power play chances. Minnesota converts on one. Carolina not only doesn't convert on their second power play, because at 17:57 of the second, I'm jumping ahead here, 17:57 of the second, Kulikov gets a tripping penalty, and a couple Wild fans were kind of iffy on Kulikov because he had made a couple bad plays in previous games beforehand. He made up for it right here. And he made up for it in this game. He had a hell of a game. So if Wild fans talk smack on Kulikov, they didn't watch. They didn't watch the game at all. He had a great game. And to prove it, right after coming out of the box, Brodin dishes a pass up to Tyson Jost, who also had an incredible game. And then Jost dumps it over to Kulikov, 2-on-1. Kulikov just fires it on net, near post. It's in. Right out of the box. Kulikov gets his 5th of the season at 15:50 in the second, assisted by Jost and Brodin. Kulikov had 1 point in the last 13 games. That is big for not only him, but for the team, because it seemed like it kind of went to a stalemate there. And Carolina was starting to generate a couple more chances on their second power play, and then just to give up a goal right out of the box, that is a huge momentum breaker. No amount of, well, if this game speaks anything, I'd say no amount of fan support can really help that. That's not true. But for this game, it's the way it was. And again, shots in the first period, Carolina was up 11-8. So it was a very even game, very tough defensive period, but it was good that we had a lead to start. We were rolling. And a funny thing they mentioned as well, they said even with the Duke North Carolina game, which has 2 schools that are both in what they call the triangle in North Carolina. It's basically 3 big North Carolina universities that are all grouped together tightly and all play good college basketball. You have NC State, you have UNC, and then you have Duke. UNC and Duke are playing in the Final Four tonight, and there was still a packed house for a Canes game, knowing full well they still have the first spot in the Metro locked up. Yeah, they should. I still got to check the standings, but still, that's incredible from Canes fans. They show up. They are probably some of the best fans in the NHL. So good on Canes fans for that. And again, Jake Middleton, he made a couple big blocks. He blocked one with his open hand like this, like not with the glove off, but glove on, shot right there, boom. Definitely stung him, but he was able to get back out on the ice. So that's good. And again, 12-18 in the second period. Great deep play by Kulikov. 12 minutes. Carolina was buzzing since Foligno lost his stick. He did lose his stick at one point, and Foligno was just kind of trying to push people around. Carolina kept cycling the puck around, trying to get something going. Most of the shots were either misses, like high over the net, or Minnesota was able to get shot blocks, or they just had good defensive plays, lifting the stick and just trying to get the puck out of the way. Like Minnesota's defense in this game, despite giving up a goal, was incredible. And to have a Vezina caliber goaltender on the back, no matter how many chances a team like that is going to get, that defense is shutting them down, and that's what happened. Great defense shut down the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. At some point, 7:46, there was a bunch of broken sticks on the ice. Greenway lost a stick. Martin Nietzsche lost another stick. There was just a bunch of random stuff scattered in the Carolina zone, and pucks were bouncing in and off of all of it. And it was just looking like a yard sale, frankly. I was wondering if he was going to attach tags to this stuff at the bottom. But it still stayed as though it was a tight, tough defensive game. And then Carolina starts to ramp up the pressure. They start to really pile it on with the chances and the close saves. And this is where Fleury came out to shine, because Fleury made some phenomenal saves. 5:54, he makes 2 incredible saves off of, I believe, Nietzsche and Svechnikov. He makes 2 great saves off of that. Literally, 40 seconds later, he makes another incredible save on Martin Nietzsche. When Nietzsche is on the back door, he slides over, kicks save, and is able to keep the puck out. And by the end of the second, Carolina had turned up the heat, but it was Fleury and it was the Wild defensemen that were able to kind of frustrate Carolina. They were not able to get anything going. It wasn't really a chippy atmosphere. There were some light skirmishes, but nothing on the level of like the Detroit game or the Columbus game or any division opponent. This is just a tight, tough defensive game from 2 tight, tough defensive coaches who have a lot of offensive skill. So if neither of these teams had any skill, this would be like an early years Minnesota Wild game. The boring, slow, Jacques Lemaire, ramp up with whatever talent you have and just try your best to grind that other team down and find a way to win. But luckily, both teams have talent, so this game wasn't as boring as it could have been. It was still a 3-1 game, and there were still great chances from both sides. So the shots at the end of the second period, Carolina had 26 and Minnesota only had 15. They only had 15 shots in that period. So this game was quickly getting out of hand. Well, what am I saying? This game was not getting out of hand. I don't know what I'm talking about. This game was still tight, still contested, but it was getting away from the Wild a little bit. You start to see fatigue is building up. The Wild have been staying in their zone for a lot. Third period kind of starts out the same way. At 8:29, the building is still loud. It is still noisy. They're down 2-0 and they haven't gotten a goal or any sort of momentum yet, and they're still buzzing in the stands. Those fans in Raleigh just know how to represent their team. Okay, and that is good, because I'm hoping that every fan base in the NHL eventually can get to that. I live down in Arizona, and there are still fans that, believe it or not, there are still fans down here that will cheer for the Coyotes. They're just not located in Glendale. They're located here in Tempe. Okay? Once the Coyotes eventually get that deal done and they get the arena in Tempe, there will be fans here. But I'm getting off topic. Man, I said right here at 13:53 left in the third period, Carolina was still getting most of the pressure. They were still firing pucks in deep, cycling around, getting great passes, but nothing was going through Fleury and the Wild defense. And as if to add insult to injury, with 12:36 to go, this is after Carolina just suddenly started throwing really long stretch passes that kept winding up as icings for them. Not sure why they did that. But at 12:36, Kirill Kaprizov gets his 39th goal of the season, assisted by, you guessed it, Matt Zuccarello, his 49th assist of the season, and the other line mate, Ryan Hartman, gets his 25th of the season. Both Kaprizov and Zuccarello are close to breaking in on records on their own. Kaprizov, he already broke the points record, but he also is only 3 goals off now from the single-season Wild goals record. The record is 42, he is 39. As for Zuccarello, he is now only 1 assist behind the career assist leader. And guess who it is, Wild fans? Pierre-Marc Bouchard from the 2007-2008 season. If you remember that name, you know this team. That name, literally, I saw that on the graphic and I just got sent back. I had like a brain blast from Jimmy Neutron. It literally just sent me back. I'm like, oh my God. I remember the red jerseys now. It just all came back all at once. It was ridiculous. But the goal itself for Kaprizov was basically a failed between the legs pass play that Kaprizov usually does. It failed, so Freddie knew where it was originally, but then Zuccarello picks up the puck behind the net. Kaprizov is over on the back door for Freddie Anderson. Zuccarello dishes the puck behind the net to this, coffin corner for Kaprizov, and Anderson can't slide over in time. Kaprizov just fires it, banks it off of him. 3-0 Minnesota. And the building, at this point, at 11:23, let's go Wild chants started to erupt. That is when the Wild fans in the building were like, yep, we're up 3-0. Let's get our boys a win here. And Carolina, at home this season, 25-5-4 coming into this game. It is brutal to play at PNC Arena. If you can come out of that game with a win in regulation, oh my God. You must have done something right, and we did. This was a complete game. This is a game that I feel like Evason is going to be happy about. If he's pissed about something, that's on him, because this game was a great game for Minnesota. And again, 8-19, Minnesota defensive clamps on the Carolina players. Literally, they just stopped them in the neutral zone. Nothing was getting through. It just seemed that way. And Jacob Middleton, again, he had been great for Minnesota, makes a couple more big defensive plays. But eventually, and it sucks because it looked like Fleury was going to get the shutout, eventually the dam did have to break. Because at 6:19, Teuvo Teravainen finally gets on the board for the Hurricanes. His 18th of the season, assisted by Aho, his 38th of the season, and Slavin, his 34th assist of the season. Basically, great passing by Carolina up in the zone. Pass goes right to Aho. People think he's going to shoot from the coffin corner. He passes in front of the net. It's an easy tip in for Vezina, who just sticks his stick out. It's backdoor. It's in. Nothing Fleury can do. Wild defenseman probably could have pushed him out, but they had gotten so much pressure on them that eventually that dam had to give one. But after that, the Wild still kept the defensive pressure on. They still made sure to not have anything else. And funny enough for Vezina, he actually got hit in the puck. Right? He got hit with a puck in the face earlier in this game and came back with stitches in his face to score. So that tells you what kind of a player he is. He was good for Carolina too. I wish we got him after Chicago let him go in 2015, but he's with Carolina now. And then at 4:30, Let's Go Wild chants erupt again, but still the building is like a carnival at this point. You don't even know who's saying stuff. I can't hear the players on the ice anymore. The building is just nuts. And it's literally a circus in there. And they were down 3-1. They were still down by 2 goals with 4:30 left, and they just kept pounding. At 3:38, Carolina finally pulls. Freddie Anderson has an empty net. And then at 3:17, Carolina takes a timeout, which didn't make any sense to me because the Wild had players who were gassed out there for like a minute 30, 2 minutes. And Rod Brind'Amour takes a timeout. So it doesn't really make much sense. Now, those guys can get rested. They have a chance to get back in the ice. And not sure really what Brind'Amour was thinking. I'm not sure why he took the timeout there. At 3:10, Fiala had a backhand attempt at the empty net. Oh, it barely missed. 2:54, he gets another chance. This time he's forehand, and he misses again. So Fiala just looking at the stick. He's like, screw it. We're just getting rid of a new stick. We're just going to try something else. At 2:01, there's another good save by Fleury. And then the Grief line ended up sticking up for him because this is the point where it's starting to get chippy. And then, well, even still, it wasn't chippy. It was more or less Carolina digging at the puck still. And the Grief line sticking up for their goaltender, so you know the sides are going to collide. 49 seconds, another close save by Fleury. This one was right in the slot and like a one-timer chance right there. Great kick save by Fleury to get it out. And then at 37.2 seconds left in the game, Carolina supposedly gets a goal that trickles through the 5-hole Fleury, but they wave it off immediately, saying that Nino Niederreiter interfered with Marc-Andre Fleury. And so this wasn't a review, well, it was automatically reviewed by Toronto. So neither team is going to lose a timeout or lose any sort of man to the box. They reviewed it. It definitely did look like Spurgeon pushed Nino Niederreiter into him. So I honestly thought that goal would be overturned. So did LaPanta. LaPanta was thinking, well, Spurgeon kind of pushes him in. That probably is a goal for Carolina. So it'll be 3-2 coming back, and then they wave it off. They still say, yeah, call stands, no goal. So that definitely helps out for the Wild. And then, of course, 24 seconds left, you hear the refs you suck chant just rolling up. Even though it's not the refs that called that was Toronto that called that. So Toronto, you suck. Toronto, it doesn't really work as well. So might as well blame it on the refs. But then clock ticks down, Wild win 3-1. And the Wild, again, become the 6th team to beat Carolina in Raleigh in regulation. Because remember I said they were 25, now 6-4 at home. They're a tough team to play at home, and we've swept the season series against the Canes. Thank God we won't have to play them again, because they will probably win the Metro and probably go far in the East. Yeah, I don't really see anybody else in the East that challenges them. They're going to play one of the wild card teams, which will be tough. But I think they can definitely beat both Boston and Washington. Those are the 2 wildcard teams right now. We'll see if that changes. But yeah, I feel confident in Carolina. Much more confident in Carolina than I did in Pittsburgh. This team has a chance to go far. Pittsburgh might be lucky. But if that luck gets them far, then I don't think Pittsburgh fans are going to complain. So it's a huge win to open the road trip. There were flowers thrown onto the ice. They did make it. It was a smaller bouquet this time, but, it's still flowers. You got to throw them on the ice, and it makes me feel left out for Talbot, who, I don't know what Wild fans could throw on the ice for him. You could do maybe I mean, some call him Talbot, so you can throw, like, I don't know, action figures on the ice or something like that. Maybe mechanical parts. Just try not to hit him in the head. You got to think of something, because you can't leave Talbot out of this. He's still rolling as always. Just because he lost in Pittsburgh doesn't mean that those 6 games before meant nothing. He's still damn good. This is a 1-2 punch that nobody in the league wants to mess with. When most teams have goaltender trouble, that is our strength. Now, we have 2 capable goaltenders capable of taking on anything. So I feel good, and I hope the rest of Wild fans feel good too, because this was a good game to watch. Shots at the end, like I said, 38-19 in favor of Carolina, and we win 3-1. So, it's a damn good game. Our record now goes to 42-20-5, which is equivalent to Goudreau's number of points, 89 points. And our next game is a back-to-back, because now we fly to DC. We take on the Capitals tomorrow, same time as this game. It's 4 for me, but I'm Arizona time, so that's 7 Eastern? I think it's 7 Eastern. But, yep, game tomorrow. I'll have a video out as soon as I can. These videos take a while to upload because I speak way too much. And eventually I'll learn how to edit these videos so they're not complete, like, ramblings and raw material. But that'll be a topic for another day. Instead, if you made it this far in the video, like, subscribe, comment. If your team isn't the Wild but you like watching it, go ahead. We can talk hockey because I'm willing to have an open-ended conversation with everybody, even Blackhawks fans. I have 2 friends who are Blackhawks fans. I've had to deal with them my whole life for too long, but I'm still willing to talk any open-ended hockey. But yeah, like, subscribe. I'm still going to keep covering the Wild no matter what happens this season. I will make sure that nothing happens like that weird 3-part, 3-game, 50-minute episode that I had that was way too long. These videos will be shorter and much easier to handle. I just got to learn how to do it. Once I learn how to do it, it'll be so much easier. And you can watch them on, your own terms. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.